Hi folks, it's Kevin, and this is Coaching Through a Crisis. Today we're going to talk about revisiting normalcy. If you remember in our first video, the intro video, it talks about the details behind the 3 steps: feedback, recognition, and focus. And you'll need to see that first video if you need some refresher on some of that. You know, sometimes in the middle of a crisis, what we really need, or what the people that work for us really need, is to be able to revisit some normalcy. It sometimes can kind of dominate their thinking. So let's talk about how we might do that. Going through the process that we discussed, first step is feedback. So when we're going to have those feedback conversations, now's a good time to talk about things that are existing, so as opposed to change. So instead of asking, you know, how was your daughter's birthday since she couldn't go anywhere, you know, maybe, you know, how old's your daughter? Oh, great. You know, when's she going to go to school at such and such? Is she going to play volleyball? Is she going to do sports? Does she have thinking? But things that aren't impacted by the crisis at hand allow people to kind of find a spot that to them is routine, normal, regular. When we get into the recognition step, let's recognize those things that are fairly regular. Again, we're looking for a contact point that people can use that'll allow them to anchor to some normalcy. So for instance, maybe you'll talk about how well they did a month ago on a certain project. Maybe you'll talk about how well they just always happen to do on a certain process or procedure that you're really appreciative of, that they do all the time and have always done well before the crisis and will still be doing well after the crisis. Stick with things that people can anchor, again, with some normalcy. And then finally, when we talk about focus, because we still got to get them focused, let's focus on something a little bit more routine. So let's talk about, you know, the typical reports that go out, or the typical process that occurs end of month, or those sorts of things that aren't crisis driven, but allow them to still focus on the task at hand. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to accomplish. This is a little bit about just returning to normalcy as we coach through a crisis. It's a short-term effort, both the coaching and the returning to normalcy, but sometimes it's really, really important. We'll have more episodes upcoming, so stay tuned. I'm Kevin Birchelman, and this is Coaching in a Crisis.